local business means that we what?
It just sounds like you're getting ready to order a mob hit on somebody. We have
I'm not ordering a
connections in the
mob
local
hit. I'm
business
ordering
community.
fiber internet.
So you know, if you don't give us the fiber internet, Guido's going to come over here and break your legs. Is that what we're talking about?
No. This was knowing people who are very well placed in the local tech community, and the offhanded complaint of the other side of the street could get fiber, but we couldn't. And then we're really, let me make a call. And a couple days later, we get an email of, we heard you were having trouble getting fiber. We can totally do that, and we can we can put a priority on it if it's for a business. Well, she runs her business out of the house, and it's reliant on the internet, so it's going to be under her name. Good. We'll be there in a week. Excellent. Yes.
Yay!
So, like I said, don't have a sugar daddy, just have some very well placed.
You get tech cousins.
Tech cousins.
If we're going for like technical bit, this would be one of my kids' godparents. So I have a tech godfather.
There you go.
The tech father. Wonderful.
The tech father. If you don't do what he wants, he's going to install fiber, but you're not going to like where he puts it.
You're not careful, he's going to downgrade you to Windows 3.1.
DOS 3.0, baby.
So, funny enough, I was reading an article today about the reason Southwest Airlines didn't get fucked over this whole CrowdStrike thing. They're the only airline that's still using Microsoft Windows 3.1.
Sometimes, being old works.
There are advantages.
There's a shit ton of disadvantages to that too. But that's not important right now. I was unaffected by CrowdStrike. I was completely unaffected. I imagine most consumers were. Although I could be wrong on that.
I didn't run into any things that I was using that were affected, but then again, I wasn't doing anything online except doing editing.
Editing? What's this editing thing? I have no idea what that is. No idea. It sounds like something for other people.
I'm still doing editing.
We'll get to you. But first I got to say, howdy folks, and welcome to another episode of the Dead Robot Society. I am Paul D. Cooley, and joining me today is Veronica and Terry Mixon for once.
Hey, I've been busy.
Was that you freezing to go ahead and so you kind of look like Tim? I just need to know.
It was me trying to get a breath. Anyway, I was going to say something, and then you totally screwed it up, and that's just about normal. Wow, this must be a normal show after 2 weeks. V, how the hell are you, and where are you? Are you in witness protection now? Because now we can't see your background. Is there something going on we should know about?
No. I am still on the road for kids bowling, so that's why I wasn't here last week, because I was in a bowling alley for practice. And so imagine, if you will, a scenario that puts for me and my children and 1,000 other families in various bowling alleys in the greater Detroit area for a week straight. So you have 3 days of practice, 4 days of qualifying rounds, and then if the kids do well and they score high enough to make the cut, then you're bowling Friday and Saturday. So my kids did not make the cut for qualifying. One did score high enough to earn some scholarship money back, and the other one did an additional tournament yesterday, and by the end of today we'll see if she got anything out of that. But she had fun yesterday, made friends, was laughing and joking with other people on the lanes who she hadn't met until that day, and that is very unlike her. But she was chill. And other than that, I have seen the zoo. I have seen the Ford factory. I question whoever designed the interstate system around here, because holy shit, what is wrong with you people?
Wait a minute.
Drive in San Antonio.
You come from where?
I come from Florida. It makes sense. I understand the greater Orlando area when it comes to interstates and turnpikes because we have one, maybe two. There are like five here. And it's all...
Honey, you just don't know the glory that is shit spread out all over everywhere.
No, I don't. And I don't need to. But yeah, so there's that. And I've heard people complain about the heat and humidity here. And I laughed in Florida because I'm sorry, 83 degrees and no humidity is gorgeous. It is beautiful. It is brilliant. And Verner's ginger ale is nasty. That's all I can say. I have tried it. Ginger ale is generally my drink of choice. I went and got me my Canada Dry because otherwise, ew, it's gross. But I will champion Detroit pizza. I am a fan. That was pretty good.
What makes Detroit pizza different than other pizzas? Is it deep dish? No, that's Chicago. What is it?
No, it's like a, from what I understand, it's like a deep dish, but it's square.
Okay.
So think of it like pizza cake.
You know, I like the way this is going.
It was very good.
Pizza cake sounds good.
We found a local spot. Was it Green Lantern Pizza? And it was, my kids ordered the 8-slice big square thing, and it was literally.
So do they deliver in the brightest day and the darkest night?
That was my question.
I don't know, but we did takeout, and I was kind of disappointed. There was no like side Ryan Reynolds capitalization on this. I was also sorely disappointed that when we went to the zoo and there was actually a Wolverine exhibit, no one thought to put like a little Deadpool figurine somewhere in the enclosure.
They probably don't want the animal to choke on it or something.
Xander says, think of it like this. It's a lasagna pizza with the sauce on top.
Lasagna sounds pretty good, too.
Who are you, Garfield?
No, I'm the guy that's been eating sandwiches for 3 days.
Oh, my God. It's so sad that you live in a third world country.
I got no time to eat lasagna.
All right. Hang on, V. We gotta put away your triumphant Detroit trip so we can listen to Terry simpering. All right.
I know.
Terry, you were in the mood to simper. Go ahead and simper.
Second. I'm not sure that you understand what the word simper means because that is not simpering.
I love messing with them. It's so much fun.
This is one of those times where I'm going to say you need to take your Gen X vocabulary, go find your Gen Z vocabulary and catch up because...
That was not simpering. Simpering is... See, how to describe it? It's trying to worm your way in, but your voice is kind of weird. You'd have to look it up. But it's not simpering. I am definitely not simpering.
To utter or express with a silly, self-conscious, often coy smile. The smile
there you go, coy. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah, no, not a chance that this is simpering.
You, on the other hand, are just a gigantic douchebag.
Ah, that's not nice, Paul.
It looks like you looks like you need to sleep.
I need to sleep.
Look like you need sleep. What have you been doing? You were gone for 2 weeks. You had 2 weeks to rest up, come back, and be tanned, ready, and sexy for the show. What's going on here?
Well, one of those weeks I was sick, so there is that. The other week I was still working on this book that I was so far behind on, and in fact still behind on, because I'm still wrapping up the last of the Grammarly. So if anybody sees me like moving my mouse around, I'm still doing Grammarly in the background because they are sending assassins to my house for this book. I'm pretty sure that there are black helicopters sent by my sugar daddy flying around out there waiting.
Well, I mean, I think he's close to a base out where he is, so he could be sending them. There could be the sugar daddy fleet coming in.
That's right. He's near Nellis Air Force. He's near Nellis Air Force Base, so he could send the Air Force after me.
Yeah, but you're pretty close to a drone base as it is. It wouldn't take them but 2 seconds to put one up there and drop. They wouldn't even have to gain altitude much to hit you.
No, probably not. I finished reading the book. I have almost finished doing the Grammarly. I've about 8 chapters left to do, and they take me about 7 or 8 minutes to go through and tell it where the commas go that I've mistakenly placed elsewhere. So I am probably about an hour away from wrapping up the Grammarly. And then I've got 20 chapters that I've highlighted overused words that I have to scan through that takes a couple of minutes to get it done. And so I will honestly be talking and having my eyes go over the screen continuing to do this because I have to get this book done. I am putting their schedule at risk and I have no choice.
Matt says, I know what late clauses get thrown around in the IT industry. How does the author world compare?
I don't have any late clauses for this, but, I don't want to damage my relationship.
Makes sense.
That would be more important to me than anything
And
else.
on the other foot, a neighbor back behind us a couple of nights ago pulled a 5-week-old kitten out of the storm drain, and so we have a new kitten.
And what's their name?
Munchkin. He's a little
Munchkin.
tuxedo boy that's floofy, and he moved right in as if he knew what humans were. He's from moment one was laying on my wife and playing with her and had no fear of humans, no concern about anything. It's like he's always been here. He says, I'm where I need to be. Here we go.
So one more added to the tab.
Yep. It's what I do.
Pounce.
When you have a calling, you don't turn your back.
The pounce is ever growing.
The pounce is ever growing.
Kind of like my waistline. That's how that works. So you really have nothing important to tell us other than the fact that you got a new cat and you're behind.
Well, wait a minute. I'm still thinking about your waistline. So does that make me the fat Elvis of cat rescuing? I'm trying to see the equivalency here.
Well, I
You
wasn't
don't-
talking
they're-
about
they're-
your waistline. How did your waistline come into this?
Well, we were comparing me rescuing cats to your waistline, so that immediately thinking of your waistline immediately made me think of fat Elvis. So I'm trying to find a way to worm this back around.
I have something to say that's going to be taken the
brain
completely wrong way, which is there such a thing as a non-fat Elvis? Because almost every Elvis impersonator I've ever seen in my life could stand to lose about 50, 60 pounds. Just saying. They'll look like Elvis at the end. None of them look like Elvis in the heyday. Why is that? Makes no sense to me. None whatsoever. No, you're not. But you can be the fat Elvis of fat Elvis.
Maybe I'm the fat Albert of cat
Elvis
rescuing.
mashed them together.
How did I do that? How that hurt my brain? I think about the fat Elvis. I'm trying to think about Fat Albert dressed up as Elvis, and wow, just wow. You ain't nothing but a hound dog. Yeah. Okay, that's gonna work out really well.
Now you're messing up my childhood. Stay away from my Saturday morning cartoons.
Well, I spent the last
Yeah.
I spent
I'm
the last
exhausted, that's it.
I spent the last 4 or 5 days working on a little EPUB application I talked about last week on the show really briefly, and went on a code jag. And it's been a bad code jag. It's been the kind of code jag I'd usually have when I was getting paid for it. But it was satisfying. I went through it, did a whole bunch of stuff. So the application will go through EPUB files in a directory and change all of their about the author and their also buys at one time, and then spit out the new EPUBs for you. So now all you got to do is upload them up, and I've even got it to where you can go in and see all the files and make changes and then save them to the EPUB rather than having to regenerate the EPUB every time. So some cool stuff on my end. I just got to finish putting in some more tests and some documentation, and then I'll put it up on GitHub, and anybody who's dumb enough to want to use it can go check it out. Oh yeah, there was another thing I did.
You published something, did you?
He's so birdie. So it's got the nice proof label going across it, but it's been 8 years since a black book was originally published, and here we go. So it's been 8 years since Outbreak in 2016. Evolution was published on my channel as a podcast, I think 3 or 4 years ago. So this book has been sitting around for at least 4 years in some manner, and it's finally out into the world and sets up Oceania and extinction. I don't know how people are going to like this one. I don't know if they're going to be pissed about it. I don't know anything about anything. I'm terrified, but it's out there. It took a lot of soul searching before I could hit the publish button. Is it ready? Is it really ready? But anyway, I hit publish, so it's out. I haven't done a whole bunch of the pimping that needs to get done but I sent out the standard stuff, the mailing list, the social media crap, all the podcast stuff. I need to get the podcast out, promo out there, and got the YouTube channel promo and all that garbage. So there's absolutely some more stuff I need to do, but that's for tomorrow and Monday. Today is DRS. So I'll get back to extinction really soon. Really? I promise. It's just I fell in love with coding, and it was just wonderful. It was wonderful. Anyway, yeah. So that's what I've been up to. Other than that, really hasn't been a whole lot. But publishing evolution, and I made some comment about extinction, and one of the fanlings was like, "You haven't killed me yet." Really? I haven't been in a book yet. Really? This is an interesting problem to have. A long time ago, I opened up the graveyard, which is basically you bought something where you donated to shadowpublications.com and your name went into the graveyard. And the graveyard was where I kept people who had some interesting names for interesting characters that had yet to be written or decided upon or anything else. Names that went into the graveyard have ended up in all of my books. The graveyard is always getting pilfered for at least 1 or 2 books. In fact, the cast of Derelict Saga is all based on other people's names. The whole fucking thing. The whole shooting match. And there's a good reason for that. It's an homage to the folks who were with me at the very beginning. And it was just something that was kind of cool because it's a connection between me and those folks. And it's immortalized in the pages. And that's kind of a cool thing. Now, those people knew from the very get-go that whatever I decided to do to them was my prerogative. There was no complaining. There was no bitching. There was no, oh, but I don't want to die. Oh, but I have to die. Oh, but no. You don't get to do that. The way you get to do this is I offer myself up for sacrifice and promise not to sue you over it. Okay.
Spoiler, you will probably die.
I offer myself as tribute.
As tribute, that's what I was trying to say. Yeah, spoiler alert, you will probably die. And there's other people who are giving me money going, please kill me in the next book. You know, it's like, it's that. And that's fine. It's a wonderful little game that I play, and because I've got a relatively small audience, it's one we can play without too much trouble. But I don't break one rule, which is I do my best at all times to stay away from physical characteristics of the real person. I sometimes change their race. I have changed gender more than once. I have done all sorts of things like that because this is not them. It is their name. It is a tribute to them, but it is not. I don't know half these people. I've never seen them in public before. But even the ones I have, I try and stay away from the exact description of that person. Because I don't ever want to have a time where somebody gets grumpy and upset at me and decides to go pay a lawyer to come after me for, breach of whatever. There's no telling what the hell people could come after. But the cool thing is it's an interesting game we played. Now, this is not a game I would play with everybody.
Fair enough.
This is not a game I would play unless somebody was actively participating in playing the game. In other words, I'm not going to pilfer somebody's name and just stick it in there. I will ask, usually, or if they've offered themselves up for tribute, don't know what to tell you. Then it's all fair game. How that works when you're not me, I don't know. Would this work for somebody else? I don't know the answer to that question either. Because I think I'm in a rather unique position with the podcast and the Patreon and everything else. It's a little bit of a different ballgame. And things aren't the way they used to be. A lot of the graveyard names I got were in the first 4 or 5 years of the podcast, majority of them. So I don't even know if this works now. But regardless, you talked about the Mary Sue thing, and I was like, I got to bring up the fact that people are still asking me to kill them, or still wondering when I'm going to kill them, or how they're going to die.
Will I ever die?
Will I ever die? Oh my God, I'm going to languish here in the graveyard forever. Ah!
If you're in the graveyard, technically you're already dead.
Well, see, that's the thing. The graveyard is like this. It's not hell. It's not heaven. It's
Purgatory.
Purgatory?
Thank you, purgatory. It's purgatory for the names. And usually, if the black's involved, there's no grave necessary anyway.
No.
There is this one I was looking for. Brett said most common would be suing for libel or invasion of privacy, but that usually happens in memoirs. Yeah. Fiction folk have an out, which is that portion at the very beginning where you say, hey, this is not based on reality or anything else, and blah, 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 blah. Any similarities are purely coincidental, blah, 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 even though we know that's absolute bullshit. And not necessarily true in all cases. But that's usually the control valve for getting out of it. Will there ever be a real coolie victim?
You know, if you ever move and they dig up your backyard, I think we'll know the answer to that.
I don't know how to actually add to the graveyard, but I'm holding out for a part in track 9. Yeah, we'll make that happen. Geppetto? Are we talking about the puppet?
Children's version of Geppetto.
Talking
It's a
about the
Fiend
puppet
Master.
The Fiend Master.
Geppetto? I thought it was Giuseppe or something like that.
Nope, it's Geppetto.
Okay.
That's Pinocchio's dad, right?
Yes.
Called it the morgue. Yeah, John, you're right. I should have called it the morgue.
And like most cases, the actual like novel version of Pinocchio is dark and twisted. So is Bambi, by the way. I read those when I was like in 3rd grade and going, this is wrong. Why did they let me check it out? I don't know. I'm not saying anything. No,
My favorite part was when Bambi got the AK-47 and took everybody out. That was awesome. You know, Bambo?
There's that. Yeah, but that was SNL. This is something else. But I mean, I know with the stuff that I've with stuff I've co-authored, but also stuff that I've written, the short stories I've written on my own for anthologies, I have used people. I know I've used Terry because I needed someone to be obliterated with nothing left.
Extreme prejudice.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It was gone. And we've used, within that group, we've used people that we knew from the gaming community where the series started. And like you said, it's usually people like, oh yeah, that just use my name and that's it. Because if you start using more than that and making it too similar, then you can get people upset and going, oh well, and especially if those other people were writers, like, oh, you took my character. No, we didn't. Yeah, so that's been that was interesting for a bit. I have come across that. The Mary Sue thing. So for those who don't know, I'm not sure how you can be a writer and not know it, but so your Mary Sue, or I guess the guy version is the Gary Stew, but.
That sounds like something a cannibal is cooking up. What the fuck? The Gary stew. How many Garys do you put in there? I mean, is it purely Garys or
Can you over-season it with Garys? That's what I need to know.
Oh, there's too much Gary in this Gary stew.
There's too much Gary in this Gary stew. Wait a minute.
And what kind of Garys?
Wait a minute. I think I need to sit somewhere in the middle of this. Instead of Mary Sue and Gary Stew, I think I need to be Terry Sue. Sit right in the middle of there.
Terry Gnu.
Terry Gnu.
Oh, that was
Where-
Gary. No news is good. No news is good news with Gary Gnu. Nobody?
Where are you grabbing these Garys from? I want to know where you're getting all these Garys for this stew.
Anyway.
Was there a Gary store?
In Indiana, probably, but anyway. Oh,
Terry Misu?
Terry Misu. Okay, now we've gone into the Hannibal Lecter cookbook, and the dessert version, evidently. So, for those who don't know, the term refers to a self-insert. So it's when the author has pretty much taken themselves and made themselves the main character of the book or story, and everything turns out like flaws are minimized and attributes are maximized, so they seem perfect. And it's generally not a good thing. You get called out for having a Mary Sue. I haven't seen it well, I take that back. I think in the romance world you do see it often enough, but authors get panned for it. Sometimes they get panned for it, and then sometimes you write Twilight. So, and whatever works. So,
what happens when you put yourself in as a minor walk-on character that just walks in and walks out, basically?
I don't think there's an issue with that. I think a lot of creators will do that.
There were a few people who caught me in the street. I think it's during the Fraggle episode. I think it's Deep Fried, where Oscar's walking in to Fozzie's hotel, and there's a drunk, long-haired guy in the corner screams at him, "Oscar, you're my favorite!" Oscar throws something at him and flips him off and walks up the stairs. Very few people caught that was me. I intended that to be me. I wanted that to be me because I just wanted that in there, that I was in that bar and that I was witnessing the mayhem. I wanted to be there, so I put myself in there.
Yeah, I mean,
and it was fun to do that.
Look at not all of the Marvel films, but a lot of the ones from starting out. Stan Lee had a cameo in every single one. And even the ones like later on after he passed, they found a way to work him into those. Yeah, like Brett said, Alfred Hitchcock appeared in cameos in all of his films.
Yeah, it's all over there. I can't do that very often, but there are times when I do it, and I just do it to see if anybody's going to notice. But usually there's a reason for it to happen, and I make it something the other character has to react to. So it's not just in there for the fuck of it, but it is kind of in there for the fuck of it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with getting away with that. It's not the Mary Sue. Yeah. If I had written myself to be this Adonis-like character with a leather jacket sitting in the corner looking all cool and everything else, that would be one thing. I did not do that at all. Yeah, Stephen King, they did the same thing with Stephen King in all the films. They try and get him in there too. Antoinette says, I think Sanderson admitted to being held a dimension-hopping character in his Stormlight archives. Huh.
See, I've inserted a Mary Sue type character in the role-playing game that I'm running. He's an android. He is kind of, better than everybody else. But I don't care.
Does he have cats?
He does.
Oh!
He has a black cat named Void, who is also an android.
Void the android cat.
Void the droid.
Void the feline android.
That's right.
Void the droid. That's just wrong in so many ways.
None of the players have actually gotten their hands on that cat yet. It just watches them from the shadows. It's got what they call gecko feet, so it can not only walk on the floors, it can walk on the walls, the ceilings, wherever. So they haven't figured out exactly where his hiding places are yet.
Sounds to me like the vents. It's M2, man. It's in the vents. That's where he lives.
They haven't figured that part out yet. Nobody's looked in the vents. That's what I have him doing, is going through the vents to various places, but they haven't figured it out yet. or they've just not been curious enough to look.
How can you
Hopefully
not
they're
figure
not
that
listening
out?
to the
Come
show.
on.
It's a spaceship. Who knows what they're thinking?
Void the droid sounds like a good anti-droid chant for a sci-fi story. Void the droid. Yeah, you're right. It does actually.
Uh-oh. Paul, I can see that the gears are turning in Paul's head slowly. He's like, oh, idea. Oh, there's something there.
Oh, Antoine.
Oh.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking A. Okay. So the cat who walks up walls. I feel like Silence is Stay calling their lawyers.
So do you get permission from people when you... So actually, here's something. There's also the trend of somebody pisses you off.
Oh.
And you make sure they die in a book. What's your take on that? Because I've done it.
Are they a public figure?
No.
If they're a public figure, they're fair game.
So I've done it with former employers. Because I'm sorry, I was in a bitchy mood at that point, and everything was still very raw. And I think there was like the person got named once, and on like the same page they got crushed in a rock slide because I needed cannon fodder. And it was like, you know what? I'm feeling vindictive. Let's keep going. But I'm kind of the mindset that if someone really bothers me, I don't want to give them more real estate in my brain.
Mm-hmm. Do not let them live for free.
Yeah. So it's like if I'm going to have someone as a villain, I think that's more of that's a treat. You can be a villain. That's a treat to be in a book and to be someone's nemesis. And if I don't like you enough, you don't get that treat. You're just going to, die horribly crushed by rocks. But that's my take on it.
There was
think?
issues going on in the city here with the no-kill shelter that we have in town.
Oh, yes, I remember this conversation. Yeah.
The one where we found out that the animal shelter was, taking adult cats that they picked up off the street and just putting them back where they found them, as opposed to actually adopting them out. And when that all blew up, the mayor of the town was kind of a jackass at the meeting, and I seriously considered writing him in as somebody to be horribly murdered, but I decided against it. Just because I'm like, you don't want to be negative towards someone that could in fact sue you. If you're going to put somebody in your books, you probably should go ahead and make sure that it's not something that if they ever found out, they could have some credible claim to have a lawyer come after you.
Rules. Change their vocation. Change where they live. Change their attributes. And you're clear.
I didn't even want to use his name.
I have used in Extinction, I've used the name of 7 politicians so far. And I will probably have about 10 or 12 before it's over with. However, none of them are politicians.
Okay, I got you. I followed that.
Right? So basically, there's a way you can do that if you need to purge your spleen. Just do it smartly. Don't be stupid. Now, I will lampoon current politicians and make fun of them, and will not even mention their real names. But because of who it is and what they're doing, you know exactly who I'm talking about. That's fair game too.
Yep, we've done that.
You just got to be intelligent about how you do it, and you can do it. Just don't be an asshole about it, even though you're being an asshole by doing it in the first place. It's just a matter of do it intelligently and don't be stupid. Just don't.
I just need to have my tech godfather come out and kill somebody.
Sugar Daddy. I'm sure he's got connections. He knows other writers. They have connections.
Oh, I was going to say, didn't Chaucer do that with the moneylenders in the Canterbury Tales? And then thought, or was it just in the Knight's Tale film? Oh, well. Yes, file off the VIN, change the plates, move it over the state line. Nobody will know.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I mean, now granted, I have one of the things I'm working on now, a lot of, I guess, some of the character attributes, um, and some of the character backstories come from gossip at the bowling alley. Because people don't shut up, and one of my superpowers is eavesdropping. And and I am a vengeful, judgy wench, and I will own that. Oh, you don't think I am? No, it's total Scorpio. So I've taken a lot of the stuff that I've heard and cobbled things together to create a minor character and some backstory to cause problems for my two main characters.
Mm-hmm.
I have not reused any names. I have, so if I'm not using those names, I am definitely changing the appearances. I am definitely changing professions. So these people could never come after me. They probably would never read the damn book. So I'm in the clear there. And it's like, am I in trouble? No. Does it work? Absolutely. What writer doesn't gather things from, conversations or situations around
Oh
them?
my God, we steal all the time. If you really want to commit broad theft, go sit into a fucking Waffle House or some shit at 3 a.m. and just listen. Just listen.
Go sit in the bowling alley. Honestly, I sit there and I listen to all the bits about, who broke up with who and who changed jobs and what this person's kid is doing and what these
She's sleeping with the pool guy. He's sleeping with the pool guy.
There's some good stuff. But again, am I gonna get in trouble for it? Somebody could probably piece things together and get a little butt hurt, but you know what? It'll probably generate sales. So I'm not worried about it.
I think worrying about this doesn't really start to get problematic until your book is like 50 Shades of Twilight.
You know what? If it ever got to that point, from your mouth to chosen deity's ears, I will take that notoriety. So,
authors of the real life AI systems, yes, we actually are.
Yeah. But so do you ask permission of people when you're going to put them in there?
If they get in the graveyard, they kind of asked permission to begin with, but I usually give them a heads up, letting them know that I'm going to use them somewhere. I think I mentioned this a couple weeks ago. I have an extinction riddle all throughout it. Name goes here, dumbass. Name goes here, dumbass. Name goes here. These are all people I need to take care of one way or another. They're either there to witness something and remark on it, or they're there to witness something and get obliterated by it. But either way, I need those people around. So I'm going to grab as many names as I can. So I probably got at least 10 or 15 more names that I need to take care of. So I could clear out the graveyard. I couldn't do anything with the graveyard with Oceania because I was a very set cast. But with Extinction, it's gloves off. It's go time. Everybody's in the pool. And whomever I grab out of the graveyard, I will throw them in there, and then we'll see what sort of screaming horrible end they come to. Permission or forgiveness usually depends on how painful the forgiveness will be. It's a sliding scale kind of thing.
True. And that's the thing. I think if you do it nicely and you make them into a good character with a compelling storyline, and they're like, oh, I get to be that person? That's kind of cool. Thank you. I think you'd be better off rather than, wow, he's a dick. Why'd you do that?
I mean, when you take three of the most hated politicians from your state and put them all as homeless guys sitting by too close to a sewer culvert. Yeah, it was a good scene. Anyway, there's a way to do it.
I'm having happy moments right now. I'm thinking. But again, there's my bit of real estate because I would sit and fixate on it. And yeah, anyway.
It just
so just all that I will put a cautionary tale. Only one person has ever done this, and he's sitting here in a blue shirt.
Uh-oh.
When you go and insert somebody's name who has to narrate your book,
Ah!
and then said narrator has to go find a completely different voice for the character that shares their name.
Oh no.
There were levels to what I was thinking when I did that.
Oh, it was.
That's some so
Well,
that's evil. That's cruel, actually.
it was interesting because, again, same name, different appearance, different profession, different personality. Well, somewhat different personality. But when when just narrating things and coming across, you're like, oh, what kind of voice do they have? And you sort of have to go, what voices have I used? Can I use my? Nope, can't use my own voice. Nope. What can I? Okay, so it goes into this. So it's very weird.
When in doubt, I use Oscar.
That would not have worked.
No, probably not. Can you imagine
Probably
narrating a fucking romance or right in the middle? Ah, baby, give it to me.
So you can go on YouTube, and there are
I think I broke Terry.
There are voice impressionists who will grab like the most recent famous romance book, and they'll start reading passages in that character's name. So you've had like Gilbert Godfrey reading Twilight, or Invader Zim or Goofy reading 50 Shades.
Oh my god!
Yeah, it's
oh my!
Yes, yes. Christ. So it's pretty interesting.
Well, that's a boner killer if ever there was one.
Which, yeah, there you go.
For me, anyway. But it says I routinely look up folks with my same name on social media and friend them. You will notice sometimes I look like I am talking to myself. You're a very strange man.
Wait a minute. You mean that there's more than one Paul Cooley? Holy shit.
Yeah, there are more than one Paul Cooley. I guarantee there's more than one Terry Mixon.
There is another Veronica Jaguar. She's in Quebec. She sells flowers.
And of course, Oscar and Gunny sounded nothing alike. I can even see the two being almost interchangeable. Put either into a noir detective story and they fit. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That was on purpose. Absolutely on purpose. Like I said, I try and use that voice at least once a book. I didn't mean for it to become a main character, though. Because, God, that sucked. Anyway, I like Gunny. I miss that character. Or do I?
Well, I think sometimes we find characters, we create characters, and we're like, oh, I want this character to be around longer. And then we're like, how do I write more for this character?
Just kill him. It depends on how many of you have read Neptune's Scars. Whether or not you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, there are a handful of Paul Cooleys. I found them too. Yeah, I'll stay away from them. They're bad news. This one's bad, and all the rest of them
just collecting them, Brett.
Yeah, Brett's just collecting a bunch of Paul Cooleys and Brett columns. He's forming some kind of strange doppelganger army.
See, you went to the living. I went to like, pins with like butterflies and just.
Well, with Brett, you never know.
And this is the one from Tennessee, and this is the one from Washington State. Ooh, and this is the one from DC.
I'm gonna expand my collection of Paul E. Cooley.
Beautiful plumage. What?
I will have them all. The entire collection will be mine.
Or they're like Pokemon.
I gotta catch them all. Oh my God. Lepidopterism? Yeah. I can't even pronounce what you try to put there.
I'm going to have to look that one up.
Yeah, I got nothing. See, one Paul Cooley is an artist who overcame addiction and homelessness. He does lectures at colleges. Interesting. Matt says on same names.
But does he do it in Oscar's voice?
When I was getting married, there was a map maker on our version of Dancing with the Stars, and I was a dance instructor. My wife was questioned about having a quiet wedding. Mm-hmm. I believe it. A Nightmare of Coolies. It's a murder of crows. It's a Nightmare of Coolies. I will tell my father that you said that, so that they would see a look on his face that is a coolie gathering, a Nightmare of Coolies. Got it. Got it. My father will be so pleased.
That right there, that's like, those would be some interesting family reunion t-shirts.
My cousin Meg has a 3-letter abbreviation for the stuff my folks get up to and her folks get up to, and it's OCS, ornery coolie shit. That's what it's called. So it's basically like, yeah, I talked to your mother today. She's got a real case of OCS. Yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing. I have no idea why. So what would be the group names for mixins or jaguars? If there was a mingle of mixins, a mingle of mixins.
It's like the opposite of a mingle.
Yeah, hang on. I'm going to look something up. I know.
Wolf angry coolies. Is there any other kind, Tim? I think Salman Rushdie already wrote that book, Chris, in real life.
So whatever you call a group of hobbits, whatever the collection term for a group of hobbits is, that's what you call a bunch of jaguars. Because they will all feed you first, second, third breakfast, 11 seeds, etc. A variety of Veronicas. That's a gardening term.
A gaggle of jaguars.
That's what my dad will call my children. But no, trust me, if we're going from my husband's side of the family, it's whatever you call a group of hobbits, because that's what they are. And I say that with love and a lot of accuracy.
Ginger hobbits. So. Oh my God.
A ginger of hobbits?
Is that ginger of hobbits? No, that would be a ginger of Weasleys. There's a totally different thing. A ginger of Weasleys.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Not that they haven't been, not that at least one, my son who's got red hair has been called Weasley. Ed Sheeran. That's another one.
I heard somebody mention Ed Sheeran's name the other day. I'm like, okay, I know what the guy looks like, sort of. I've never heard any of his music and don't care to.
Okay.
It was just one of those weird moments where it's like, oh, there's this person in the zeitgeist, and I'm like, fuck off, zeitgeist. I don't care. It was just a weird thing. So for you to say his name, it just happened the other day. It's just weird. I don't usually mix in crowds where Ed Sheeran's names come up, so I thought it was rather odd. That's all.
Interesting.
Very, very interesting. A confusion of jaguars. A redneck of in-laws.
There is some accuracy there.
Okay, yep. So Matt, I gotta ask. Because I gotta know. I'm from Texas, okay? I'm from Texas. I was growing up around a lot of interesting people from a lot of interesting places, a lot of interesting local cultures. I gotta know something. What is a Welsh redneck? Please describe for me in great detail the attributes of a Welsh redneck.
I have a feeling that it's probably region specific.
Probably.
I know that you can have a kissing of cousins.
There's entire states there. But never mind.
That's Arkansas.
Yes, Xander, I did see the bit about Powerline, and I am my poor little 90s child heart was like, oh, yay, one of the most underrated movies of all times.
If you mow your lawn and find a car you forgot about it, you're in with a chase. All right? All right, I'll buy that one.
Accurate.
If you've ever been accused of lying through your tooth, oh, damn. Okay. I'm going to ask Matt a strange question in a moment. Matt, have you ever seen the movie Shrooms? Takes place in Ireland.
Totally different country.
It's got Irish rednecks in it. I figured they're probably not too far away from Welsh rednecks.
Oh my lord.
Just saying the accents change.
You
Still
think?
incomprehensible speech. And what else? You work without your shirt on, and so does your husband. Yeah, very similar. That's it. Welsh and Irish are so different.
Lord.
You can't even right now. I know, and yet they're not. If you go back and you look, they're not. They're not. They fought together multiple times. Anyway, history notwithstanding, that's not important right now.
No, what's important is
Yes.
I don't know what's important. I mean, it's if you're gonna put somebody in a story, maybe ask, but you don't necessarily. Is it better to beg forgiveness than to ask permission?
Only the lawyers know for sure.
Yeah, only your lawyer knows for sure. Oh, okay, that's the other thing. If you're going to do something phenomenally stupid, probably get some legal advice before you do said phenomenally stupid thing, just because, well, you might regret it otherwise.
Judging from the number of people that get sued for stuff like that, I would wager they don't really realize how phenomenally stupid it is.
So, yeah, yeah. Just don't be dumb, and you'll be fine. We had the Valleys crowd, and they are our version of rednecks. Okay. Says the guy who was told to stop a book. Yeah, well. You're saying I can't have Sanderson get run down by a bookmobile? Sure you can.
He just can't be an author.
Or his first name can't be Brandon.
Well, now, let's think about this, though.
Uh-oh.
You had, in the televised version of Preacher, they blew up Tom Cruise on screen.
Mm-hmm.
By name.
That is correct. When you're a public figure, the rules change quite a bit. They change quite a bit.
What qualifies as a public figure, though?
Somebody who's a lot bigger than any of the three of us. More well-known. Somebody who's making a hell of a lot of money, and part of their business is actually being out there. So the rules change. I don't know how they change, but they change based on that. It's much more difficult to libel somebody who is a public figure than it is to libel a private citizen, if that makes any sense.
It does. It also helps that they don't have a unique name.
It also helps too. Lots of other folks with that name that aren't Brandon consider that when contemplating Sanders' side. Oh, yeah, this is how South Park gets away with their show, exactly.
I almost lost my coffee on that one. There was almost some caffeinating of some nasal cavities there.
You put Elon Musk in your story, you could probably get away with him doing just about anything because, well, yeah, you'd have a difficult time. Like anyone who's been on court TV.
You know, if I was writing something in the near future science fiction arena, I would have somebody in space doing a spacewalk get run over by his Tesla.
No, I think if I was gonna have my if I was gonna have all of my like lycanthropes and were creatures. Hello, Sassy.
Sorry, trying to knock my coffee on me.
But I think if Charlie Brown can write werepossums, I can write Elon Muskrat. So
Muskrat love.
Ew.
There is I think I talked about this. There is a festival in Clear Lake every year where they do this Christmas boat ride thingy, Majiki. They dress up all the boats in Christmas lights and shit, and they do this little parade around the harbor, the Kima Harbor. And when I went looking at records of it, it seemed like there were quite a few politicians there. So my brain immediately went to, well, if there are a few politicians there, why not have the entire Texas Republican Party there? Why not have some national folks there as well? Why not have whomever I wanted to have there? I could wipe out all sorts of people at one time and get away with it completely. And I don't even have to name them. That's the cool part. There's all sorts of opportunities, at least in the stuff that I'm writing, to do just absolutely annihilate broad swaths of humanity if I feel like that's what I need to do. I don't need to do that. I can. Doesn't mean I'm going to.
But when you think about that, is it really right to feed junk food to your favorite monster?
Ooh. I'm not really sure the M2 considers anything to be junk food. Wow, there was something I almost said that got me in really deep shit, so I'm going to shut the fuck up before I say something that's going to get me in deep shit.
I mean, that's
something about even that number of brain cells would be somewhat satisfying. Anyway, yeah, you can't unsee those things. The Black Girl Straight End. Capitol Hill Annihilation. Black goes to Washington. Okay, that's bad. Does the black eat clowns and do they taste funny? I don't think M2 has ever consumed a clown.
I think you need to fix that.
If I was a real Stephen King kind of asshole, what I would do is I would go ahead and piggyback off the story called Mime, so I want to have a mime in there getting eaten. I could do that. It could be fun. There'd be no reason to do it, but I could. I don't know. Well, we're going to find out about M2, what hurts it, because we got 2 more books. Evolution is out now. I got 2 more books. Why on earth would M2 eat a clown? The same reason it would eat you, because you were there. Then again, it might be attracted to bright colors. We've never talked about this. If the black goes to DC, it may shift us to the good timeline. I was telling Terry and V about The Boys. I finally started watching The Boys, and that is about the biggest finger you could give DC Comics that ever existed. That is just a huge fuck you to DC. And I love that show. That's a great show. Dialogue.
It will be on my list. I'm catching up on everything, and the seasons will change as they do with school starting and another kid going off to college. So I'll have more time for stuff. So I'll have to have a new series to enjoy.
I definitely put that one near the top because it is just holy shit. Humor is so wrong. I mean, goddamn.
I like wrong humor.
Just watching Carl Urban tear up the scenery is fun.
Oh yeah, it's good stuff.
I love Carl Urban is amazing.
He is a foul-mouthed, foul-tempered. It's a lot of fun watching him. He's got to have a lot of fun playing that role.
I think they're all having a good time with that role. It's just insane. It's completely insane. Anyway, highly recommend it. Highly recommend it.
I will. It will be on my list. I'm slowly getting through stuff. Slowly, because when you travel, it's hard. I think the only writing I did was I typed up scenes that I had started, and realized, this doesn't suck, but I have a long way to go. But it's still satisfying, so that's always good.
Well, I'm still having a good time with Extinction. I just got pulled off for this coding jag because it happens, and I miss code. Actually, it's kind of scary that I miss code, but I miss code. But I am looking forward to getting back to Extinction.
Yay!
Because we just got one more book to go after Oceania, and then that series is done.
You're going to miss it. You know you will. You're going to have to come up with a whole new way to kill off people in the graveyard now. You can't
That's perfectly fine, though, because it seems like after 6 books, it's just getting lazy.
Is it?
It's got to end.
Up on the black.
It's got to end. It's just got to end. It's got to end. But as I said, I reserve the right to bring black or bring back. Yeah, I can't speak.
Bring the black back.
Bring the black back. Bring back M2 in another universe or another story that's completely unrelated to the 6 you've read thus far.
So we could expect in some later, much later book to have some severely reinforced deep space suit, and the inside is just filled with this swirling, strange concoction. And someone goes up, "Are you okay?" Something opens up and
if you've read An Ancient Trap and you were really reading and paying close attention, you found an Easter egg. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. The next generation. What? Naruto has aliens.
And to be fair, that is a good reason for rereads or rewatches or re-listens, because sometimes you miss stuff the first time, like, oh, that was there. Oh, now I get it. So
Shepherd of Fire? I'm not familiar with that. Antoine, I'm not familiar with that song. I don't know what the Black's theme song could be. Could have someone find some way of keeping a sample of M2 as a pet or as a garbage disposal.
I'm just thinking of, like, little reinforced glass, bell jar with, 2 separate things in there. You just put it down and hit a tab to feed it. Kind of like, and people start monetizing it. Now I'm having flashbacks to Little Shop of Horrors and Don't Feed the Black.
Oh, it's Avenged Sevenfold. Oh. I'm not familiar with it. I'll have to put that on my list. I've always wanted M2 to clean my house and jewelry. I want M2 to come clean my house too. I just need to make sure I get rid of the pets first. Boy, that came out wrong. Wow, we are past time.
We are.
How are we past time already?
Because you didn't stop us.
I was yammering and babbling and
You
stuff.
were.
I was, doing your job, and it's tough. I can understand why you don't do it.
You missed us for 2 weeks, and therefore you had to go over.
Well, that was part of it. That was definitely part of it. Well, we were running way late. So if you have a comment or question about this show, you can send an email to show it. You can send an email to show@therobotsociety.com. You can find me on Mastodon at Paul_E_Cooley at VYRSE.social. I'm having problems today. You can find us on Facebook at the Dead Robot Society writing community, where we mangle all the madness together. You can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/DRS podcast, where we are live every Saturday at 3 p.m. CST. Most Saturdays, I should say, in one form or another. Like and subscribe so you know when we're live. And if you want to support the show, you can find us at patreon.com/DRS podcast and buymeacoffee.com/DRS podcast, where for as little as $1 a month, you get access to exclusive live shows like the one that's coming up in 6 minutes. And at the $10 level, you get your name read, and our $10 patrons are Nate Cosby, Antoine Batts, Tony L. Joy, Rick Shaw, Lisa Slack, Isabel Cushy, and Tim Niederreiter. Thank you to all of our patrons for making this show possible. And with that, we are going to get the hell out of here. Go check out any of Terry's books. Go check out everything that Veronica has ever and will ever narrate. And go take a look at Evolution.
Go
take
look
a
at
look
Evolution.
At the beautiful cover.
Help it climb the charts. Tell people about it. Share, like, subscribe.
Send a
Throw it in
copy
their
to your
face.
legislators so they can lose their little minds.
Wrong book, but we'll get there. In the meantime, we will see you next week, and patrons, we will see you in just about 5 minutes. All right, have a great weekend, folks.